Everyone. Today, we are going to dive into one of the most fascinating and sometimes confusing philosophy of education, the postmodernism. Now, don't be intimidated by the term. It simply means questioning the old ways of thinking, breaking free from one-size-fits-all education, and embracing diversity in how we learn and teach. Postmodernism started in the late 20th century as a reaction against modernism. Modernism believes in rationality, progress, and universal truths that there is one way to know and explain the world. But Francois Lyotard 1984 that postmodernism is all about incredulity towards meta-narratives. In simple terms, it's about doubting big, all-compasses stories like education works the same way for everyone. But postmodernism tells us knowledge is not absolute, it's relative, contextual, and socially constructed. What is true in one culture may not be true in another. Think about this. Would the same teaching strategy work in the classroom in Davao, in Bukidnon, and even in Manila? Well, in postmodernism, it always answers no, because each context is unique. To make it clear, let's compare. Modernism believes in one objective truth, standardized test, and rational authority. Example, the teacher is the only source of knowledge and the textbook is the ultimate guide. On the other hand, postmodernism believes in fragmented and diverse truth. Example, a single story can have a multiple valid interpretation depending on who is reading it. In short, modernism says there is one answer, while postmodernism says there are many answers and are all worth exploring. The core principles are the backbone of postmodern thought. First, there is no absolute truths. Education should recognize that reality is experienced differently by everyone. Second, knowledge is socially constructed. As Lyotard explained, it is shaped by culture, language, and community. Third, deconstruction. Jacques Derrida reminds us to question fixed meanings, like when we analyze a poem not for one meaning, but for many. And the last one, power and knowledge are linked. Michel Foucault shows us those in power shape what counts as official knowledge. Here are the big names that we need to know. Lyotard focused on knowledge as relative, Foucault connected knowledge and power, Derrida taught us to construct meaning, Rote saw teachers as co-learners, not dictators, and Freire education as liberation for the oppressed. Without these thinkers, postmodernism wouldn't have its strong foundation. Postmodernists see schools not as a neutral space, but a cultural battlefields where values are created and contested. That is why there is no such a thing as universal curriculum. Instead, learning must reflect the diversity of learners' background. Postmodernism critiques rigid system and standardized testing because this ignores learners' unique experiences. The aims of postmodern education are to make learners critical and reflective thinkers, to value multiple perspectives, whether based on gender, class, culture, and religion, to empower the marginalized, to encourage creativity and questioning of authority, and to prepare learners for a pluralistic society where differences are the norm. As Paulo Freire emphasizes in his Pedagogy of the Oppressed, education should be about dialogue, not domination. Does this mean for curriculum? It should be flexible and open, inclusive of local and indigenous knowledge, student-centered and interest-based, interdisciplinary, and connected to real life. In the Philippines, this is visible in the MTB-MLE policy, which uses mother tongue as their first language of instruction. This shows respect for local culture while helping learners transition to another languages. In postmodern classroom, teachers stand as facilitator, mediators, and co-learners. We are not the know-it-all, but we guide the learners. Students, on the other hand, are active constructors of their knowledge. They are no longer passive recipients, but participants in their own learning. The classroom also is flexible, inclusive, and dialogical, a space for conversation and exchange. So my question is, would you rather be in a class where the teacher just lectures, or in a one where experiences and opinions are part of the lesson?
Good day, everyone. I am Joanne Yu Sayon, and today I will be continuing our discussion on postmodernism in education. In the first part, we learn how postmodernism values diversity, creativity, and flexibility in the classroom. For this part of the report, I will focus on the challenges and applications of postmodernism in teaching. Together, we will explore how these challenges affect teaching and how teachers can respond to them in practical ways. The challenges and postmodern practices in teaching. The Filipino teachers face challenges such as moving away from rigid, standardized teaching methods, balancing DepEd's competency-based curriculum with local culture, adapting assessments to recognize multiple intelligences, and avoiding the risk of relativism. These are addressed through postmodern practices like using storytelling, group projects, and community immersion, connecting science with local herbal knowledge and elders' wisdom, offering varied outputs such as essays, skits, art, or digital presentations, and applying clear rubrics to ensure fairness while embracing diversity. We have opportunities also. The postmodernism gives Filipino teachers a chance to make learning more meaningful by connecting lessons to students' daily lives and culture. Contextualization and localization make subjects like math using sari-sari store, transaction, or bazaar, history, and English easier to understand by using local practices, community events, and familiar examples. Indigenous knowledge enriches lessons in science, arts, and geography by showing traditional wisdom and cultural heritage. Inclusive teaching helps all learners by using visual aids, peer tutoring, and group activities. Media and digital literacy build critical thinking by letting students analyze social media, check facts, and discuss online issues like cyberbullying. Critical pedagogy encourages students to ask questions about society, challenge stereotypes, and understand how social economic forces affect their lives, turning the classroom into a space for dialogue and empowerment. In application, in planning, postmodernism means creating lessons that connect with students' culture and language, like using Cebuano riddles in class. It also promotes integrating subjects such as combining science, math, and social studies in a project on rice farming. Lesson objectives are made flexible, allowing students to show learning in different ways through storytelling, drawing, or role play. Application in delivery. In delivery, postmodernism focuses on student-centered learning where students work together and explore ideas like investigating local environmental issues such as a group. It uses different modes of teaching like storytelling, videos, songs, and posters to make lessons engaging. It also values students' personal stories using community issues or cultural practices as starting points for class discussions. Next is application in evaluation. In evaluation, postmodernism goes beyond traditional tests by using projects and creative outputs instead of only pen and paper exams. It values alternative assessments like portfolios, journals, performances, and peer reviews, allowing students to reflect on their learning. It also focuses on the process, creativity, and critical thinking, such as letting students present a story through drama or art, essays, videos instead of just taking a quiz. We have also strength of postmodernism. The strength of postmodernism lie in its inclusivity or of marginalized voices. For example, a teacher includes indigenous stories in class discussions. Its encouragement of creativity and critical thinking. For example, students analyze social issues through art, debate, or digital media. Its adaptability to globalization and digital culture. Learners fact check news online and discuss global trends, and its ability to make education meaningful and connected to real life. For example, math lessons use budgeting and market prices from the community. We have also in criticism, postmodernism in classroom brings flexibility but also challenges. It can lead to an anything goes mindset. So teachers set clear criteria for outputs, diverse projects, make grading harder, but rubrics ensure fairness. Lessons may feel fragmented, so teachers connect them under central theme like sustainable living. This is example of science subject. Too much focus on personal views may weaken cultural identity, so teachers balance pop, culture, and traditions. In short, postmodern teaching works best when balanced with standards, coherence, and cultural roots. In the Philippine context, postmodernism is evident in the K-12 curriculum that promotes contextualization and flexibility, the MTB-MLE that values local identity, the inclusion of indigenous knowledge systems in DepEd and CHED programs, the growing emphasis on student-centered and collaborative learning, and the push for media and digital literacy to prepare the learners for today's world. In conclusion, postmodernism in Filipino classrooms shows that learning should be diverse and inclusive. Teachers guide while students help create knowledge. Education must connect to local culture and real life experiences with flexible and creative teaching and assessment. Challenges may arise, yes, but they bring chances to improve and reshape education for today's world.